Hey again, everybody. Here's another video for to help you with midpoints, but we'll do the ones that are a little bit more complicated. For instance, I know there's ones on the worksheet that look something like this. They'll give you a point, and they'll give you the actual midpoint, and they'll say, okay, find me, the other end point. Okay, and at first glance, you look at it and you're like, oh, I'll just put it in the midpoint formula and I'll add these two numbers and divide by 2, and I'll add those two numbers and divide by 2. But you got to read the question carefully. This is actually the midpoint. It's already there. If you're having trouble visualizing that, just plot it and you'll be able to see it pretty quickly. 0, 5 is somewhere up here. So there's y at 0, 5. The midpoint is at 3, 3, which is somewhere over here. Again, it's just to give you an idea. So you're not finding the middle point of these two endpoints. There's some other point somewhere out here that this connects to where this is the midpoint. So how do you find that? Well, the good news is you actually still can use the midpoint formula. And I'll show you that way first, and then I'll show you another way, and you can kind of do it however you see it. But essentially, if we were to label these, right, there's your x1, x1, y1, sorry, x1, y1, and here's where your x2, y2 would go. Okay, so that's what's missing. So when you go to set up your formula, which we have, already kind of well put for the other problems, it's really the same. The thing is, where do these numbers go? So the x1, of course, would go here, but nothing can go here. So let's break it down. Let's just keep this part all by itself for a second. Let's just focus on the x's. x1 plus x2 over 2 should equal something. Well, we know what it equals because they gave it to us. It's 3. And we know x1 is 0, so I can actually write this equation as 0 plus x2 over 2 equals 3, which is a little strange because in the other ones, all we would do is we put the two numbers right here and we'd be all set. So it's a little different. You got to work a little bit backwards. We get a little bit lucky, at least in this one, because there's a 0. But that could have been like a 7. It doesn't even matter. The hard part is realizing what to do with this. And, it depends on how you look at it, how comfortable you are with algebra. Some people look at this and say, oh, I can just put this over 1 and then cross multiply. That's great. Some people look at this as, oh, I just want to multiply both sides by that. So multiply both sides by 2, and you'll be able to go from there. You can cross out those 2's. So it's kind of however you see it. Either way, you calculate it out, you're going to get x2 equals 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times x2 is just x2. Oops, ran out of room there. Hang on. There we go. 1 times 0, of course, is 0. 1 times x2 is x2, and that equals 6. So you'll get your 6. Now, after you do it, once we get the whole thing, we can double check it using the same formula. So that supposedly is the x coordinate. Does that make sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, how about the y value? Let's do it over here. Y1 plus y2 over 2 should equal some number. In this case, it happens to also be a 3. That's just a coincidence. But y1 we know is 5. So 5 plus y2 over 2 equals 3. Multiply both sides by 2. Doing that cancels out these 2's because I have a 2 in the top numerator, right? 2 in the denominator. So 5 plus y2 equals 6. y2 then has to equal 1. So that's a 1. Let's see, does that kind of make sense? 6, 1, maybe here. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I thought maybe it could go below, but I wasn't sure. To be 100% sure, now that we think we've got it, we've got the 6, 1 here, let's check it. Let's pretend this problem started with y being at 0, 5 and z being at 6, 1. Let's find the midpoint. Midpoint's going to be 0 plus 6 over 2, 5 plus 1 over 2, which if simplify, 6 over 2 is 3, 6 over 2 is 3. We know we did it right. Okay? So that's, the guaranteed surefire way. And the good news about it, again, is you're still using the same formula. The hard part is where you put the actual values. Okay? Another way I've seen people do it, I can use the same numbers. Okay? We'll use y was at, 0, where is it, 5. The midpoint was at 3, 3. And then z is somewhere else. Now this one's just a little bit more, you kind of almost do it in your head a little bit. You say, all right, to get from 0 to 3, what did you have to do? Well, you had to add 3 units to get there. So guess what? If it's going to be the midpoint, it better be 3 units on the other side. So to get from 0 to 3, I had to add 3. So to get from 3 to something else, to the other endpoint, I'd have to add 3 again. So I'm guessing 3 is in the middle of 0 and 6, which it is. How about this one? To go from 5 to 3, I had to go down 2 units. 5 down to 3, I go down 2. Well, down 2 units from 3 would be 1, which is the same thing we got before. Double check. 0 plus 6 is 6, divided by 2 is 3 again. 5 plus 1 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. Now that one's a little harder to kind of show your work on. So I honestly don't know. Depending on your teacher and what they want to see, you probably have to show something. To maybe here you write, plus 3, and here you wrote minus 2, and then plus 3 minus 2. I'm not sure. Check with your teachers. For me, I would actually be okay with this. I really wouldn't have a problem. Or if anything else, even if you at least showed, show the midpoint of this is 3, 3, like we did here. Actually, I already have it. If you showed me this on your papers for that problem, I would know that you knew how to do it, because you can't just get lucky and guess 6, 1. You had to do something to get it. Okay, but maybe this would be acceptable. Again, check with your teacher. But if this doesn't work for you, if it's doing it in your head's a little bit trickier, and you want something a little more concrete that you can really sink your teeth into, this formula will do it whether you're going forwards or backwards. Okay. All right. So that's a little more advanced. Please let me know if you have any questions on that, and hopefully you'll be able to get some of those ones from the worksheet. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.